This show is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. The content on this show is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such condition.
This is Rooted in Healing with Dr. Beth Claxton, exploring the science of functional medicine and the power of healing from within. Breathe in, breathe out. And now your host, Dr. Beth Claxton.
Good morning. Dr. Beth Claxton here with Rooted in Healing. And I wanted to take a moment to talk today before our guest comes on about health. Our guest today is Jennifer Spencer, and she is a medium, which is a very Sedona type career to have. There are a lot of people with intuitive skills in Sedona, and we have very interesting conversations, as you will learn with Jen's in my conversation today. And I invite you to stay on and listen. So I have some questions that I'd like to ask to get us oriented for this interview. And the first one is, what does your health mean to you? What is your health for, and what is your orientation to your health? Do you take it for granted? Or is it something that you're afraid of? Are you fixated on one abnormal lab result that may have come back? It could even be lab error, as oftentimes lab errors do occur. And it could be something legitimate that has gone off balance. Are you worried constantly that a past diagnosis may occur, like a cancer recurrence or an infection or a skin manifestation? Are you constantly worried that you may become your mother or your father or another relative who you watched in poor health in your life, and you don't want to become them, and every time something happens, you think back and you don't want that to happen to you? When I first evaluate new clients, I have a conversation with them talking about how many times we don't realize how close we are living to the edge of a cliff. And that's why I love doing evaluations on people who think they're completely healthy. And this hopefully does not scare people, but gets them oriented to the fact that things can happen at any time. So it's helpful to have a positive attitude about health, to check labs and go in and see what's going on. Things do get out of balance, to learn where our genetics are leading our physiology, and also understanding that 90% of the time we can actually change that. We can change our genetic expression epigenetically through habits and sleep and diet and relationships. So I wanted everyone to know before going into this interview that there's a lot that we can do. I wanted us to really think into how do you view your health? And what are your drivers for taking care of yourself? Or do you even take care of yourself? Sometimes people just want to live and play and have a lot of fun until they get a wake-up call. Some people don't ever want to get that wake-up call and live as healthy a life as possible because they've seen examples of other people in their lives that have not heeded the wake-up calls. Are you doing the things you're doing for longevity, which I see more as a positive type of lifestyle approach? You're happy, you want to live a long time, and you want to be happy and healthy and not have any chronic disease? Or are you living in fear? Are you taking care of yourself because you're afraid something's going to happen? That those two approaches have are almost opposites. They have different poles, different energies, and not being critical of yourself, but noticing where you are without any judgment at all. And then the next question is, how do we manifest health? How do we help ourselves have better health and be in better health and be in a state of health? Well, first we need to know where we want to go. Do we want to be something different than we are now? Do we want to be something different than a relative that we knew who didn't heed the wake-up calls, or who has chronic disease, a mother, a father, or a relative who maybe died early? All of these things in our life help us make decisions and govern our choices every single day, and we may not even realize that. And then we want to know what our health is going to look like. How do we want to be in 1, 3, 5, 10, 20, 50 years? What do we want to look like? How do we want to be? And when we know where we want to go, then we can make decisions and choices about how to get there. And this, I see it as a more positive approach. We can figure out what's happening with us now by doing lab studies and exams and diving into a preventative healthcare program to assess where we are. And then moving forward, we can go in with a positive attitude and get up happy in the morning and go work out because we want to feel good forever, because we want to go swimming as often as we can for the rest of our lives, versus going swimming because we have weight that we want to take off. Can you feel the difference? So begin to notice the drivers that you have in your life. Do you want to promote happiness and longevity? Or do you want to avoid something like fear? And knowing where we're starting helps us make the decision to change. And making this decision to change our course, as Jen and I talk about today, may be the hardest part of changing course. And knowing where we are, starting from, knowing that starting place is also a difficult place for some people. Admitting that maybe that your hemoglobin A1C is high and you have prediabetes, or maybe even diabetes, maybe there's hypertension, maybe there's extra weight, being completely honest that this is where you're starting from. Making the decision that things are going to be different and taking charge and responsibility for that is the hardest part of the journey. It takes honesty, it takes authenticity, and it takes vulnerability, and everybody can do it. Everybody. It's an opportunity and it's a choice that's available for everyone. So with that, I want to lead into our interview with Jennifer today. She is very intuitive. We talk about intuition. We talk about why it's so difficult to make the decisions to change. And we talk about so many other things. I think you'll really enjoy it. I really enjoyed having her in the studio. And we will see you when we come back from this break for more Rooted in Healing. I'm Dr. Beth Claxton.
And now, more Rooted in Healing with Dr. Beth Claxton.
Hi, and welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to Rooted in Healing. And I have with me right now a live in the studio, Jennifer Spencer. Jennifer is an intuitive coach. She's a spiritual medium and the co-founder of Pause and Expand, a company that helps teams and organizations to slow down and cultivate well-being. She works with women in midlife to help them pivot into their purpose and connect more deeply to their intuition. She reaches audiences of over 1 million people on social media. I'm so excited to have you here in the studio, Jen.
Thanks for having me, Beth.
Oh, you're welcome. So Jen and I were out on a walk the other day, and we were going up Sugarloaf, which, if you've been to Sedona, it's a wonderful little intense hike that doesn't take too long. And we were having this conversation about me and my business and her health and the roadblocks that we were running into. And then we realized that there was a lot of similarity there. And can you tell your part of the health journey that you were telling me, Jen?
Yeah. So Beth and I met, how long ago has it been now?
About 2 years.
2 years, yeah. And when I arrived in Sedona, I was really struggling with my health. So I'm in my early 40s. I was starting to experience symptoms of perimenopause and had done tons of research, done a whole bunch of blood work, done a whole bunch of alternative methods of trying to heal myself, and didn't understand exactly what was happening. And I was feeling really helpless. I felt like I didn't have control of my life. I felt like I was struggling with my confidence. I was feeling bouts of depression. And when I met Beth, it was really interesting because Beth asked me 4 questions about how I was feeling. And she said, I think I know what's happening with you. And I remember that moment when you and I connected and you really saw what I was going through. Mm-hmm. It was this feeling of, I'm not alone in this. Mm-hmm. And I knew in that moment there was an ability for me to heal in a different way. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've learned about this journey of change when we go through our physical bodies is there's also a lot of emotional work that's underneath that. So it's this connection between our mind, our body, and our spirit, right? How intertwined those things are. And I realized how important it is for us to really be aware of the thoughts, and then also intuitively be able to know that there are people that can help us, but we don't always know who those people are until all of a sudden they're in front of us and they give us the answer, and then we realize we can change. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's similar. Then I heard what she was saying, and I was thinking about my business and how it's been, I feel like I'm a generous person. I've always been someone who has been in college or in medical school or in a job where I just got a salary and I didn't really have to work at business. And there's something different about having your own business. Any entrepreneur would tell you this. You've got to go out and hustle. And there was, for me, a block between what I was doing and the hustle to really make it happen, to impact a lot of people. And it's that same mindset thing of I wasn't seeing myself as an influencer or someone who would really put themselves out there. So we realized that for both of us, we had to change our mindset. Jen had to become someone who was well. She had to start seeing herself as someone who was healthy and well. Yeah. And I had to start seeing myself as someone who could really help large amounts of people, and that people really wanted to hear what I had to say. And again, thank you for listening, because this is part of it.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. One of the things that I do and the work that I do with women is really help them to pivot into their purpose. So what are they here to do in this lifetime, and how do they get out of the constructs of their mind and into what they're here to actually do in this life? And it's an interesting thing because when we think back to all the stories that we've been taught over the course of our lives about who we should be, how we should show up, even in the perspective of healing, right? This is what happens to your body. This is how you heal it. You go to the Western medical system, you get the medication, and then you are fixed, right? Right. And then all of a sudden when that doesn't happen, we start to go right towards ourselves. So it's like, well, there must be something wrong with me. Well, there must be something I'm not doing. Well, I obviously don't have the ability, in your case, to reach as many people as I want. So I might as well stop. Right. And a part of that I'm realizing is, what are the stories that we're choosing to believe about who we really are? And the minute we can start to just become aware of, oh, there are stories that I'm creating about who I am in my reality, then we have an opportunity. That's the starting point. We then have an opportunity to say, what are the stories in front of me, and what am I choosing to be true, right?
And we generally start to create these stories when we're quite young.
Yes.
Or the way that someone treated us when we were young, like, oh, I don't matter, or no one really wants to hear what I have to say, so I'm just going to be quiet. It might have been like one thing that a teacher said, and then our little brains just make up this story because that's how we deal with things. And how do we unravel that big tangled ball of yarn, Jen?
That is something I am still figuring out, and on my 43rd year of life on this planet. It's an interesting thing you're bringing up. I grew up in an alcoholic family, so my childhood was very, very challenging. And so when I look at that ball of yarn that sits in front of me, it's got years and years of threads of stories that have been tangled up into one big place. And you're right. A lot of the stories that we believe about ourselves come from a very young place. So a lot of us, when we go back into that voice in our mind that tells us we're not good enough, well, whose voice is it that you're hearing? Is it your mother? Is it your father? Is it the teacher you had in grade 1 that told you that you failed your math test? Like, who are those people, right? And what I always used to think about, and I've done years of therapy and years of work in trying to unravel this ball of yarn, but one of the things I always think about is, if you can create those powerful stories about what you're not, then imagine what you could create about who you actually are. And so I always will tell people, without blaming whoever it was that taught us these things, we only have what we have, the tools we're given with what we have, right? So our parents, whether they were perfect 10 out of 10 parents or 1 out of 10, they were given certain tools, and then they took those tools and then taught what they knew from those tools. And what I always feel is, we have to remember, as whatever age we're at today, that we're not living in that story. So there's a past version of us that had that trauma, had that challenge, which is completely valid, right? But also, we are adults now. And so we have to be able to see ourselves from that lens of, I am a 43-year-old woman, and those are not my stories anymore. And I remember when someone, actually at the school that you and I both went to, told me that, there was nothing I could say other than, she's right.
Yeah.
And I remember getting so angry, thinking, well, that's not going to help me. And she said, but it is going to help you, because whether it's your body, whether it's your physical health, whether it's a belief you have that's internal, that's telling you can't do something, we do have the ability to change. We do have the ability to reprogram those neural pathways within us that have, like grooves of a record, told us, and we keep replaying the same story. Well, at some point, you got to take the needle off the record player and ask yourself, why am I still playing this record? Right?
Yeah. Yes. And I've found through inner child work that also helps unravel everything. It kind of cleans the slate off. If you can imagine yourself as this, like I catch babies for a living. So this squeaky clean little slippery being that like pops into this world, and you've got to make sense of everything to survive.
Yeah.
And you have to, it's a survival method. And then all of a sudden you're like grown up, and then like what happened? But really, you're still a child if you get, all of us do.
Yeah.
And becoming the observer of that child, that's a mindfulness exercise in and of itself, just being able to split off from that child and see yourself as you, the adult, and you as the child. And one thing that's really helpful is to get a photograph of yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah. As a child. And feel you as an adult and see you as a child and start to make a unique connection there.
Yeah.
And then you can do that without having any of the noise of your past coming in.
Yeah. It's funny. I just had lunch before I came in here to meet you with a woman who just turned 85. And I was sitting across the table from her, and she said to me, I realized when I turned 84, this is the year that I'm really going to put myself out there. And I just started to cry because I said, wow, do you even see how powerful you are? And, I know she does.
Yes.
And it reminded me in such a humble way, with the 40-year gap between her and I, the work doesn't ever end, No. We're always learning and growing and evolving. That's what we were put on this planet to do. That's why we chose to come here and be humans and go through the messy, uncomfortable, joyful part of living fully, right? And what I think you said there is so powerful about everything comes back to awareness, and everything comes back to your ability to observe the world around you and ask yourself, what am I choosing to take on as my truth? And what am I choosing to not take on? And if I have over time collected all these beliefs about the truth of the world, am I willing to question those beliefs and think that there might be a different way? I mean, that was a big thing with me when I met you. I was at a point where I was struggling in my relationship because I was feeling these crazy mood swings, and my partner had no idea what to do. He's like, sees one version of Jen, and then the next day he's like, I don't know what just happened to you in 24 hours, but you are not the same person. Because my cycle, when it changes, right, I go into a different phase. Right. And then when I go into that phase, I become, you know all the details, but I become a different person, right? Yeah. And what I realized so powerfully when you and I met is that you reinstilled this belief, like, that I can actually change. I have ability to work with my energy, to find different tools, to use my intuition and find a new path forward, right? Which has been such a gift. So yeah.
And say more. We were talking also about a book that I recommended to you, The Tiger Protocol, which I'm hopeful to interview Dr. Palanasamy on this show. I'd love to have a conversation.
Let's just manifest that now.
Okay, let's do it. And you said there was some resistance there.
Yeah.
What was going on there?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing with me and change is, what am I going to have to endure that I'm not enduring right now? Right. And it's the same with anything. It could be stepping into your gifts. It could be pivoting in your career. It could be working with your health in a different way. I mean, so many of the women that I work with, when we ask them, what's your intention? It's that they want to change from a physical standpoint. They want to lose weight. They want to change their body. They want something to be different, the way they feel. And I remember when you suggested this book, I was like, all so excited, like, okay, I'm going to get it. I'm going to buy it. And so I order it, and it arrives on the counter, and it's like really long, and I'm thinking
it's complicated.
Okay, I texted Beth and I said, what page should I look at? Tell me the page and I'll just look at that page. And she said, well, it's all really good. And I was like, I know, but I don't have time to read the whole thing. And what I notice happens in me, the resistance is like, I'm going to go into discomfort. And there's always a moment before anytime you do a different eating protocol or you change something about your diet, there's always that moment of like, it's going to suck while I'm going through the process of like detox or removing things, because now my life has to change and I can't go for dinner and I can't do all the things I want to do. But there was something in when you brought that book to my life, I just intuitively knew there's something here I need to read and I need to try this. And what was powerful is you were there to motivate me, right? You were there to keep me inspired and help me to remember, like, it's one step at a time. If you can't do it all at once, just like start small, like start eliminating, your coffee, or start eliminating, your dessert, and then go from there. And it made me realize this is the journey of souls from throughout our whole lives.
Forever. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't change overnight. We change over a series of small steps. So why is it any different with our bodies? And why do we put so much pressure? I mean, so many stories of why women do this specifically.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. And it's, tell me if I'm on with this. I think I'm on with this. Well, it's harder to be sick than it is to feel good.
Yeah.
So many of us just want to stay there though. And I think the hardest part is changing the mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter that you're not going out to dinner with people. It doesn't matter that you're not having dessert. It's making the decision to do something different.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part.
Yeah. Because why? Why is that so hard?
It's the mindset. It's the fear.
Yeah. Fear.
Yeah.
That's it. Right? Because we're afraid what is going to come up. Anytime I've ever done something that is more, it's going to push me. There's a fear of like, what am I going to uncover? Right. So when I started the Tiger Protocol, I was like, of course there's going to be emotional stuff that's sitting there under the surface, because why am I eating dessert every night? Why am I numbing to certain foods? Right. And so when you remove those things, those distractions, we like to say, right? Well, what's under the surface? It's a feeling of something. It's like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not moving fast enough, or I'm not being patient, or whatever those feelings are for each of us as they come up. So I think you're bang on about it is our mindset, because if you say to me, okay, Jen, go and eat these 20 things, here's your grocery list. Well, I can do that because it's right in front of me. And I know if I'm going off path, because I've now just eaten a piece of cheesecake and I probably shouldn't. That was not part of the protocol.
That was not on the list.
It wasn't on the list. But when you say, well, just change your mindset, well, what does that mean? Right?
Yeah,
how do we do that?
Yeah.
It's a lot more challenging because there's an emotional component that many of us don't want to access or touch.
Yeah, and helping people find what to focus on. Like, I give people an elimination diet usually at their first appointment, and there's so much resistance. Like, some people just stop right there. Like, they don't even want to do it. And what I try to tell them is, the focus is not that you're not going to have sugar or dairy or wheat or alcohol or caffeine. It's that you're going to try something different and see if the results are different.
Yeah.
And you're going to focus on eating more plants, trying new recipes. I mean, that sounds exciting, doesn't it? I think it sounds exciting.
Sure does.
I'm going to try something new and see what the results are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that you're bringing that up, because there's such a parallel in the way that you guide your clients and the way that I guide people that come to me and do work with me, because I go through the exact same thing with the women that are in their midlife trying to pivot. They're, a chiropractor and they want to go in to become a spiritual healer or something, right? So how do you actually support those people? And the biggest thing I always say to people is, what would it be like just to be curious, right? Just to experiment.
Right.
It's not lifelong. If you don't like it, you can always go back. But if you just were curious and brought that curiosity into your mind, what could be possible?
And as you say that, I'm feeling into curiosity. That word almost anchors you in the present moment.
Totally. Totally it does.
It's like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to open my eyes and open my senses and take what comes. And that's opening to the present moment right there.
Yeah.
Without fear of what's happened before or what's going to happen, just opening up right now. And if we can take every step of our journey with curiosity,
Yeah, it's everything, because I think what it also does is it ignites your senses, right? It ignites the part of you that isn't stuck in a certain way or an outcome. And it brings the ability for a space of, there might be another way, right? There might be another path forward. I mean, it's how I'm building my entire business right now, is the lens of curiosity. If you ask me, okay, Jen, what's your business plan for the next 3 years? I have no idea. I don't even really know what I'm doing 2 months from now.
Wow.
But what I do, and this is coming from someone who was the VP of marketing at big companies for 20 years. And I knew my marketing plans like year over year for like 3 years out.
Right.
I knew how many sales I needed to hit. I knew it all. And what I'm learning in this process is when you start to bring your intuition in and your curiosity, you get to create more space. And you get to move with what's in front of you, not what you think has been mapped out 10 steps ahead and what's going to happen because it happened last week, right? You clear the slate for endless possibility, which is what we're learning can actually give you more better and more powerful results than if you had it all mapped out.
Yeah, for sure. And another really important part of that I'm bringing from my mindfulness training is keeping the judgment out of it.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we can be curious and watch ourselves fail and say, oh gosh, I just ate that piece of cheesecake, or I didn't do that Instagram video sequence that I was going to do.
Yes.
So I'm a big failure. No.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or it did happen in your case.
I can course correct.
Yeah.
That's a big piece, right? Because, I'll always tell people, and I tell myself in the work that I do, is we have two voices. There's the inner critic, right? Which is the voice you're talking about, which is telling you not possible. Oh my God, you ate a piece of cheesecake. You've wrecked the whole protocol. Now you got to go tell, Dr. Beth and tell her that you've messed it up and all that stuff. And then there's the part of you that's your higher self, or that intuitive part of you that is, you know what? We didn't exactly follow the protocol today, but there's always tomorrow. And why don't we just drink a bit more water today and, wash it out, and we'll start tomorrow clean, right?
Yeah.
And that, I think, is often, I know for me and I know for other women I've talked to, that's a big block that stops people from these big elimination diets or protocols, because it's like, well, look at all the things I can't have. And what if I go out for dinner one night and I can't cancel those plans? What do you do? Right. But when we take that rigidity out, we can say, well, maybe it would work. Maybe I could just eat less of this and try this. And that's the way we are living our lives in bigger ways too, that we can actually take those same methods and protocols and apply them to all parts of our life: relationship to self, relationship with others.
Yeah, it reminds me the big detox that I did that changed my life and started me on this whole pathway. I remember I was going through my steps as we've been talking. It was like, let's do something different. Yes, let's do something different for 3 weeks. And I went vegan overnight.
Oh, wow.
I'd never, I was like, vegan, can I do that? And I went out and I bought different kind of food that I really had never eaten before. And, looking back on it now, it wasn't really even compliant with that Ayurvedic Panchakarma diet.
Yes.
But I was doing something different and I still had amazing results.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bought tortillas. They were whole wheat, like these whole grainy tortillas, but wheat was not on it. But I still ate them, and I still had amazing results because I had the intention, and I had made the steps, and I didn't do it perfectly, and we don't have to do it perfectly.
Well, that's another really powerful thing that you're bringing up there, is the idea of intuition, right? I mean, one of the biggest things I teach people when I help them tune into their intuition is, go to the grocery store and instead of going down the same aisles you normally go down, ask your body, what color food do you want to eat today? And see if you can feel a color, right? So if you feel the color yellow or purple or red, go and look around the fruit and vegetable aisle and see what's there that might be that color. And I notice what happens is our ability to tune in on that deeper level, sometimes even subconscious. It's funny, actually, I did this for a period of time and I kept getting green. Oh. And it was not like a Granny Smith apple. It was like rich green, like hearty Swiss chard, kale, like big, like leafy greens. And I remember going to my naturopath, like my naturopath at home, and asking, okay, just making sure, I want to check my levels. And she said, oh, it's interesting. You must have been eating more of something because your levels have gone up in your iron or whatever it was that I was deficient in. And so like, it was just clear evidence right there in that moment of, oh, right. So you actually do know more than you realize, right? Yeah,
that's so true. It's funny that your story, I tell people to go into the produce section and just open up to have a conversation with the vegetables.
Oh, I love that.
And then I ask them, this is what I do. I look around and I say, okay, who wants to come home with me?
That's amazing.
And it's like they're almost jumping in my cart.
Yeah.
It's like you look over and it's like, oh, the chard looks like, yes. You look beautiful today.
Spoiler alert for every person listening to this, chard will always want to come home with you because it's such a delicious, hearty vegetable to eat at probably wherever you are and however you're listening to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true. It's such a playful way that we can bring, it doesn't have to be so hard, right? Oftentimes I think we make things so hard because that's just how we're conditioned. Well, I got to do this and I got to stick to it and I got to, make sure that I follow every rule. But it's like, what if you made it fun?
Yeah. And I didn't come up with that on my own. Someone told me to do that. And I was like, that's really kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I did it anyway. And it worked.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's how you know things are working, right? When you try something, and even if it's not, you don't know if you exactly got it right. Like the feeling of it is what you're going for. It's like follow the feeling more than the logic sometimes, because logic will take us certain places, but our intuition is limitless in terms of what we can see and experience.
So what kind of advice? Is there advice or pointers? What would you like for listeners to know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm really big on intuition. So my belief is that my intuition has gotten me much further than my logic ever has. And so my way of life now is much more of an intuitive lens rather than a one placed in logic. And so what I would say is, like, if you're trying to heal your body from something physical, if you're moving through the aging process, if you're trying to pivot in some sort of personal thing or a relationship, listen to that part of you that always knows, which is your intuitive mind or voice. The fastest way to get connected to that is slow down. So go in nature, right? Go for a walk or a hike like you and I do. Meditate for 5 minutes. Go have a bath. Like, find ways to slow yourself down, because that's where the wisdom is all sitting, is right inside of you. And we know more than we realize, because I think my soul knew somehow to ask you for help, or through my partner, Steve, to ask for help. And then I got the answer, but I would have never known that it would have come from that place, right? So I think it's just really about trusting that inner compass, that because it's more powerful than you realize.
Yeah. And I'm being invited to share something. So it's easy to get stuck in our heads and think that that's our intuition, because we have these stories and chatter, like, oh my gosh, it can be so loud sometimes. The chatter that's just looping around in our head. And it's easy to think that that's the intuition. And really the intuition kind of exists if you imagine like a space, or even like a warm light that's maybe 3 feet to 20 feet that's above your head. If you put your focus there, it helps the chatter die down. And it helps the answers come.
It's funny. The woman I just spent time with, she said that exact same thing. So that is 100% accurate.
Between her and me, we're 100%.
For sure. Yes. I will confirm that.
Yeah. Because I do teach mindfulness, and I do teach people how to come out of that loop of thinking. And we do it in the breath a lot, anchor to the breath. And there are answers that come with the breath, but I found that focusing above the head, where your higher self is the way to really touch into that intuition. And this is like 100% Sedona speak that we're doing right
yes,
here.
Completely.
Come to Sedona. And
but it
continue
works.
the
Somehow it
conversation.
works.
Yeah. And if you think it's totally woo and you're like not into it, just give it a try.
Yeah.
And see
Just
what
slow
happens.
down. That's the first thing. Try to slow down and notice, because, you know, every human being is most likely distracted or working too much or, you know, off balance in some way. So slowing down is the fastest way to tap into exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. How do people slow down? How do you teach people to slow down?
I always say, you know, what do you love to do that makes you happy? Mm-hmm. And oftentimes when people answer that question, there's something in there that you can find, right? Oh, I like riding my bike. Okay, well, go. Why don't you go ride your bike and don't bring your AirPods this time?
Yeah.
And just ride with the wind, right? Or I love going out with my dog and going for walks. Amazing. So try doing that and don't bring your phone. See if you could actually do that and not bring your phone this time. That's slowing down, because you're stopping the chatter, the distraction, and you're coming into noticing maybe the world around you, or being more present, being more aware of how your body feels. And that's where the answers will often come.
I've also found it really helpful to find a rock. In Sedona, we have lots and lots of rocks. If you can go sit on a rock, rocks are very grounding. It's like an earthing type process.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting out in nature, the Japanese forest bathing.
Yep.
We don't have as many of the trees that they do up north or in Colorado.
Vortex bathing.
Yeah. Just getting out in the trees or sitting on the grass and leaning against a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, very
Amazingly
helpful.
grounding.
Nature is such a powerful healer for so many of us. I think it's also why a lot of us are moving to where there are places where there's not as many people, because we're realizing we can't be in the congestion as much as we used to be able to, right? It helps us get more clear and more focused.
And there's also the opportunity to connect with each other on a more personal way when we're in smaller towns without as much distraction.
Definitely.
Because you live also part-time in Toronto.
Yeah.
So you get that a lot.
Yeah.
You
There's
see
a
the
lot
contrast.
of contrast between the two. And, you know, I notice my nervous system is quieter and softer and more loving. And even when I'm on my cycle, it's a more gentle cycle, because there's something that my nervous system gets to do here that it doesn't get to do when there's traffic and horns honking and all that stuff that I can do here that feels more anchored. And I believe it's, you know, Steve and I, my partner, have talked about it endlessly. We're like, what is it? Let's analyze it. And I'm like, no, it's just being in nature, having more space, being more in sunshine.
Yeah, sunshine's a big one.
Yeah.
So how do you ground yourself in Toronto?
One of the things for me has been Epsom salt baths. So that's been something that really helps me at the end of a day. So when I notice like my energy is scattered and I'm struggling to just be able to think about going to sleep and quiet that voice, a big thing for me has been Epsom salt baths. And then Steve and I also, we do sound baths. So for anyone who doesn't know, sound baths are, they use crystal bowls, so they're instruments, and they slow your brainwave activity down from the beta state, which is quick brainwaves firing fast, to the alpha state. And the alpha state's where we get that deeper rest, we get meditative, we get creative. And so we'll often say to people, go on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you listen to music, find a sound bath from one of our sound baths or somebody else. Listen to it for 5 minutes before you go to sleep, or when you're feeling anxious. It does wonders, because it just naturally helps your mind and your body to slow down and ground you back in the present.
It is so true. Your sound baths are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a big part of our journey of healing and also just awareness.
And Epsom salts, functional medicine standpoint, Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate.
Okay.
So magnesium, the magnesium ion, is really important. A couple ways. It's really good for the adrenals. It helps relax the muscles, and it also provides a magnesium ion for the mitochondrial energy molecule called ATP to stabilize itself on. So we can store our energy more effectively when we have enough magnesium. And I think that sort of helps us stay relaxed. And then sulfate, the sulfur ion, is really important in detoxification. So I find that when I travel and work on labor and delivery units, I take Epsom salt with me, or I buy it when I'm there, and I buy I use a lot. And, and I find that if I can take an Epsom salt bath, I can feel the detoxification from all of the waves, the EMFs that are at the hospital, the plastics, like everything that you're exposed to from the toxicity of a hospital. When I can sit in an Epsom salt bath, and that sulfate just goes through my skin, and it's very helpful for detoxification as well. I sleep so much better. Yeah,
I notice when I have an Epsom salt bath, and when I don't, I do notice a difference for sure. So that's good science behind why. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I think it's really, I think one of the things we've really uncovered in this conversation is really the reminder that we are capable of more than we realize, right? And if you can just become aware of which is the voice that's speaking, who is running the show, you have a better shot at change, which is really what we all want to do, right? Is to heal, to be in our best physical body, to be in our best mental mind, and to really use our intuition to be able to access those parts of us that we struggle to see because we're afraid of what's going to happen, right? Yeah. But oftentimes I notice with anything, if you stick to it long enough, there's something there. The consistency should not be taken lightly, because there is something to, especially with these protocols, just try and move through the discomfort one more day than you think you can, and see what happens in your mindset, because oftentimes they go hand in hand.
Yeah. And I'd like to add too, when you're trying something new, it can seem really hard.
Yes.
And big and impossible. And if there is sticking to it, take a look back. How were you a week before?
Exactly.
And that can be pretty staggering.
Yeah.
Or even the day before, like just from day to day, acknowledge what's changed in a positive way.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't had sugar in 3 days or a week. Like, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Those small wins will carry you to the next milestone that you're always trying to hit, right? And this is what our entire life is. It's just a series of small little moments that add up to a lifetime. And so it's the same thing with anything we're trying to do new for the first time.
Yeah. So it's my motivation, my pep talk to everyone. Yeah, take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and take the time to look back.
Yes.
And acknowledge and celebrate.
Celebrate the wins. Yeah. Very important.
Yeah.
Most of us are not doing that enough.
Oh, so true. And we can be so hard on ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. And don't watch the advertisements.
Yes. They're called marketing, which is where I came from.
And if you can, don't engage in the news. It's fed to us what they want us to hear.
Yeah. Just be in nature and notice what you notice, and be with people you love, and just let those moments keep adding up.
And take care of yourself, because no one else is really out there to do it for you.
For sure. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So Jen, how do people find you if they like what you have to say and they want to work with you?
Yeah. So one of my big channels is through Instagram. So my Instagram handle is Jennifer Spencer Medium. So if you look up that, you'll find me. And then you can also find the work we do with Pause and Expand, the sound baths, at pauseandexpand.com. And then my personal website is jenniferspencermedium.com. So got lots of courses and intuition workshops and sound baths and lots of fun stuffs. And we really try to be the bridge. So we're somewhere in the middle. We're not overly woo-woo and we're not totally logic. We're somewhere in the middle. So if you're interested in dipping your toe in, these are the places to start doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And how do we find your sound baths?
Yeah. So they're all on pauseandexpand.com.
Okay.
And, or through my Instagram, and, everything's there, and we do them once a month, and, they're an hour. So you're in and out, squeaky clean, brand new, cleared of all the clutter in your mind. And we do everything in groups. So everything's, virtual. And we do everything in groups because we believe that there's so much power in us seeing and reflecting ourselves in other people and realizing we're not alone on the journey.
Yeah, so true. We were meant to be collective beings.
Yes, very much so.
And we've found ourselves quite isolated.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get back to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we will, one step at a time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And we'll be right back after these messages.
And now, more Rooted in Healing with Dr. Beth Claxton.
Thanks for coming back. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Jennifer Spencer. I certainly did. I always love sitting down and talking with her. We had a very Sedona type of interview. And Jennifer, as a medium, we talked about intuition and letting our intuition be our guide. And intuition, for a lot of people. And I remember when I was not trusting my intuition, I didn't even know what it was. It's trusting in our higher selves. And how do we find our intuition? It's that little voice that comes up sometimes. And oftentimes, especially early on, we miss it. We miss I kind of knew I should have done that, and I didn't. And then we start to slow down and listen and start to notice when we're getting those messages that maybe we should do it this way versus that way. And trusting, learning to trust these things, doing it with very small things in the beginning, and then working in and trusting as we go about our lives. So one thing you can do that's really quite fun, I think, is to open your closet if you have no idea what you're going to wear that day. Just let your intuition tell you. Just let your hand go out and choose your clothes that you're going to wear and put together an outfit without thinking about it. And you'd be really surprised at what happens. Trusting when you go to the grocery store, like Jennifer and I talked about, what's for dinner? What's going to jump in my basket to come home with me? What vegetables look good to me without getting the head involved, just feeling the energy of the vegetables? And it will happen. Just trust that connection, the connection to yourself, the connection to your higher self. And you will start to notice that things become quite easy and you start to get answers that you never thought you could get. And you start trusting that little voice. So when it comes in, it actually has a little more volume and the chatter in the brain is a little bit more quiet. And you start to learn about yourself and start to trust and have really good guidance from you, your higher self. So come back and join us on Rooted in Healing again next week. We're on every Saturday at 9 a.m. on KAZM 106.5 FM and 780 AM, Mellow Mountain Radio in Sedona, Arizona. And as part of this lesson in intuition, start to notice what makes you happy. start to notice what brings you joy and really seek that out in your life, because that is the most important part of health.